You tell yourself today's the day. No more candy, no more soda, no more grabbing just one cookie before bed that somehow turns into half the box. For a few hours, everything feels fine. Then something changes. You're not even hungry anymore, but suddenly your brain starts negotiating. One piece won't hurt, you've been good all day. You can always quit tomorrow. It's strange because another part of you already knows exactly what's happening. You know you'll probably regret it, and yet, somehow, you still reach for the sugar. Most people think this is a willpower problem. They think some people simply have more self-control than others, but that's not how your brain sees it. In fact, your brain believes it's helping you survive, and once you understand why, quitting sugar starts looking a lot less like a discipline problem and a lot more like a biology problem. Sugar doesn't just taste good. It activates systems inside your brain that evolved millions of years before chocolate bars, donuts, or soft drinks ever existed. Those systems weren't designed to make you overweight. They were designed to keep you alive. The problem is that the modern food industry has become incredibly good at exploiting them. For almost all of human history, sweet food was rare. There were no vending machines, no convenience stores, no desserts after every meal. If you found something sweet, it usually meant ripe fruit loaded with calories at a time when calories were incredibly difficult to find. Your ancestors who loved sweet foods ate more when they had the chance, stored more energy, survived more famines, and passed those genes on to the next generation. Evolution didn't reward moderation, it rewarded survival. That's why your sweet tooth exists. It isn't a mistake. It's ancient survival software running in a completely different world. Your ancestors might find something sweet once every few weeks. You can have it before breakfast, after lunch, during a movie, while filling your car with gas, or just because you walked past the snack aisle. The software never changed, the environment did. And that's where things start getting interesting. Most people think sugar is hard to quit because it releases dopamine. You've probably heard dopamine called the brain's pleasure chemical hundreds of times. It's one of the most repeated facts in health videos. The problem is, it's not really true. Dopamine isn't designed to make you happy. It's designed to repeat behaviors that helped you survive. Imagine you're one of your ancestors wandering through the forest. After hours of searching, you finally discover a tree full of ripe fruit. Your brain doesn't just reward you for eating it. It starts remembering everything about how you found it, the location, the smell, the color of the fruit, the path you took to get there. In other words, dopamine isn't saying that tasted good, it's saying remember this, we're doing it again. That's a huge difference, because after your brain decides something is valuable, it starts building shortcuts that push you back toward it automatically. And sugar happens to be one of the strongest shortcuts it can build. But here's the part almost nobody talks about. After a while, your brain stops responding most strongly when you actually eat the sugar. It starts responding before you eat it. Think about walking past your favorite bakery. Before you've taken a single bite, something already feels different. The smell of fresh bread, the logo you've seen 100 times, even the street corner where the bakery sits, they all become signals. Scientists call them cues. Your brain treats them as predictions. Long before the pastry reaches your mouth, dopamine is already rising because your brain expects a reward is coming. It's preparing your body before anything has actually happened. That's why cravings seem to appear out of nowhere. You're watching a movie and suddenly want popcorn. You finish dinner and immediately start looking for dessert. You stop at a gas station for fuel and somehow leave with the chocolate bar. Those situations have become connected in your brain. The cue appears, the prediction starts, dopamine rises, and suddenly sugar feels incredibly important. Researchers studying dopamine discovered something even stranger. The biggest dopamine response often doesn't happen after receiving a reward. It happens when the reward is expected. And if that expected reward never arrives, dopamine suddenly drops. Your brain experiences what's called a prediction error. In simple terms, it's thinking, wait, something was supposed to happen. That uncomfortable feeling is one reason resisting cravings feels so difficult. You're not just saying no to a cookie, you're interrupting a prediction your brain already started making. It also explains why food advertising works so well. A melting chocolate bar, the sound of a soda can opening, fresh cookies coming out of the oven. None of those things contain sugar, but they activate the prediction system anyway. Your brain begins preparing for a reward before you've even decided whether you want it. The food industry didn't invent this system. Evolution did. Companies simply became very good at speaking its language. But dopamine is only half the story, because once the sugar actually enters your body, something else begins happening. Not in your brain, in your bloodstream. And that's where quitting sugar becomes much harder than simply ignoring a craving. So why is sugar so different? Imagine eating an apple and drinking a can of soda. Both contain sugar, but almost nobody accidentally eats 6 apples in 5 minutes, while finishing an entire bottle of soda is effortless. If sweetness were the problem, those two foods should have the same effect. They don't. The difference isn't how sweet they are, it's how fast the sugar reaches your bloodstream. An apple comes packaged with fiber. Your digestive system has to work through it before the glucose reaches your blood. The energy arrives gradually. A soda is completely different. There's almost nothing slowing it down. Within minutes, your blood sugar shoots upward and your body reacts immediately. A hormone called insulin rushes in to move that sugar out of your bloodstream and into your cells. Insulin isn't bad. You literally couldn't survive without it. The problem is what happens next. Because insulin is incredibly good at its job, sometimes it's a little too good. After a rapid spike, your blood sugar can fall just as quickly. Your stomach may still be full, and your body still has plenty of stored energy, but your brain notices something else. The fuel arriving through your bloodstream is dropping. To your brain, that feels like you're running out of energy. It doesn't wait to find out if that's true. It reacts immediately. Suddenly, you're not thinking about chicken or vegetables. You're thinking about chocolate, cookies, soda, whatever delivered energy the fastest last time. It feels like hunger, but often it isn't hunger at all. It's your brain trying to solve a sudden drop in available fuel. That's why cravings often hit in the middle of the afternoon, 2 hours after dessert, or shortly after a sugary breakfast. The strange part is that eating more sugar makes the feeling disappear. Blood sugar climbs, your brain relaxes, and it quietly learns another lesson. Sugar fixed the problem. Except sugar also created the problem in the first place. That's how the cycle builds itself. Spike, crash, craving, repeat. Every time it happens, the pathway gets a little stronger. Now, add stress. You're stuck in traffic, your boss sends an email, you have an argument at home. Within seconds, your body releases cortisol, the main stress hormone. Thousands of years ago, that response made perfect sense. Stress usually meant you were about to run, fight, or climb. Your body prepared by making more energy available. But modern stress almost never ends with physical movement. You answer emails, you sit in meetings, you scroll your phone. Your body prepares for action, but the action never comes. Your brain still wants quick energy, and nothing promises quick energy like sugar. That's why stress eating can feel almost automatic. Ancient biology is trying to solve a modern problem. There's another reason quitting sugar feels so difficult. Your brain gets used to expecting it. After weeks, months, or years of frequent sugar hits, those rewards become part of your normal routine. Then one day you decide to quit. You expect to feel healthier immediately. Instead, you feel tired, irritable, restless, and food suddenly seems boring. Many people think something has gone wrong. Usually, nothing has. Your brain is simply adjusting. For a long time, your reward system expected frequent bursts of highly rewarding food. Remove those bursts overnight, and everything else feels less exciting by comparison. The important thing is that this isn't permanent. The brain is incredibly adaptable. Just as it learned to expect sugar, it can learn not to expect it. Over time, something surprising starts happening. Fruit tastes sweeter. Dark chocolate becomes richer. Foods that once seemed bland suddenly become satisfying again. The food didn't change, your brain did. This is also why fruit rarely creates the same cycle as candy. An orange doesn't just contain sugar, it comes with fiber, water, vitamins, minerals, and plant compounds that slow digestion. The sugar reaches your bloodstream gradually, instead of all at once. Processed foods are different. Many are engineered to remove the very things that naturally slow eating down. Less fiber, softer textures, faster digestion, bigger reward. It's almost like taking the brakes off your biology. So how do you actually make cravings easier to control? Most people try to fight them with willpower, but willpower runs out. Your brain makes thousands of decisions every day, and eventually it gets tired. A better strategy is to stop triggering the craving cycle in the first place. Eating more protein and fiber slows digestion and keeps blood sugar steadier. Getting enough sleep makes your reward system less sensitive to sugary foods. Managing stress reduces cortisol, which means your brain stops asking for quick energy every time life gets difficult. Even a short walk after a meal helps your muscles use glucose more efficiently. Notice what's happening here. None of these strategies rely on forcing yourself to be stronger. They work by changing the signals your brain receives. When those signals change, your cravings usually change too. Maybe that's the biggest misconception of all. People think sugar is hard to quit because they lack self-control. But your brain isn't trying to ruin your diet. It's trying to repeat what it believes kept your ancestors alive. The real problem isn't that your brain is broken, it's that it's running software written for a world where sweetness was rare and calories were hard to find. Today, that same survival system walks into a supermarket where thousands of products are competing for its attention every second. Bright packaging, advertisements, desserts at the checkout, they're all speaking the language your brain evolved to understand. And most of the time, it works. Not because you're weak, because you're human. The good news is that the same brain that learned these habits can also unlearn them. Not overnight, not through guilt, but through repetition. Every time you break the cycle, your brain updates its predictions. Eventually, the craving that once felt impossible to ignore becomes quieter. And one day, you'll walk past the candy aisle, realize you didn't even think about buying anything, and understand something remarkable. Your willpower didn't suddenly get stronger. Your brain simply stopped believing it needed the sugar.